2024 could be coined as the year of the young quarterback in college football. And while there are many great choices out there, if I had to just pick one to really blossom into a star this year, it's Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Hope I said that right. Yes, he does have the physical talent. He's got a big arm, and he's a long strider with quick twitch. He's shown flashes of being able to be nuanced as a passer as well. But to me, what sets him apart from the rest is the system that he's going to operate in under Josh Heupel's offense. Now, despite some assumptions, Heupel deep down really wants to run the ball. He wants to get downhill as much as possible, which is a quarterback's best friend. But he also does it in a way that features many RPO elements. Now, this causes defenses to have to look at three different levels and get ready to be attacked at three different levels. And it always gives Nico an out mid-play. Now, Tennessee's offense isn't simple, but it's not overly complex either. Their warp speed mode isn't just intended to tire out a defense. In fact, that's really just a side effect. The main point of this style is to catch the defense in simple looks, which leads to easier decisions from the quarterback position. Now, the faster you go, the harder it is for defenses to adjust, to disguise, or to get creative. Heupel has enough plays in the bank when they do go fast to be able to mix up his looks while you can't really mix up yours. The more times they catch defenses in base looks, the easier the book is to read for a young quarterback. You don't take out all of the quarterback's thinking, but you do eliminate a lot pre-snap. It's not like having to solve one big math problem that's really complex like Good Will Hunting and can change. Rather, it's like doing simple addition just really fast, which in my opinion is easier. So again, Nico has all of the talent physically to be able to be a big-time college football player. But it's that mixture of the physical and the system that will set him apart than the rest of the young quarterbacks who will be starting this fall. Once upon a time, this man was a young quarterback at Michigan, David Cohn. My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. And David, there's a ton of young quarterbacks you can choose from. But, you look at Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma, you look at Avery Johnson at Kansas State, you can keep going down the list. I just look at the complete picture, and there's going to be ups and downs. There's always ups and downs with young guys. But I feel like Nico has a built-in advantage because, to me, from the defensive mind that I have, I would rather face really any other system than what Josh Heupel and them do.
Yeah. Nico's a great pick because he's playing for an offensive-minded head coach. He did get to play in the bowl game last year, which I think helps him get off to a great start. I went down and I broke down the 19 throws that he had in that bowl game against Iowa. 14 of those 19 throws came off some version of play action or the RPO game. So obviously that's going to be a big part of what they do. And then 2 more were screens. So only 3 true drop-back passes for him. I mean, obviously they're going to be working on that all off season. But yeah, going fast. And with his frame and his size, it doesn't look like he's moving that fast. I mean, he's a long strider. So a great runner who had multiple touchdown runs in that bowl game, but kind of, underrated in terms of like when you give him the eye test on his running ability. So he's going to get for the first third of this season here, before their first bye week, he's going to get 2 great tests, which is playing NC State at a neutral site and then playing Oklahoma on the road at Norman. Those are going to be great challenges for him as a young quarterback before you have to go play Alabama, or before you have to play Alabama at home or go play Georgia on the road. So, look, I love that pick. One of the guys that I talked about a little bit when we highlighted Big 12 Media Days, and I want to talk about again, is Rocco Becht at Iowa State. Now, it's always a crapshoot whether or not what kind of season Iowa State's going to have. I get that. But in terms of like a young guy, he'll be entering his second year starting. As a thrower of the football, man, I think he's as good as it gets. And he reminds me a lot of Brock Purdy, who started at Iowa State. And
I think he's a little more athletic than Brock is, like running.
Possibly. But, I mean, they do very similar things, and the stats reflect that, honestly. I mean, last year he had 3,100 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, all while having a 63% completion percentage, something like that. So when you just look at him throw the ball, I think I don't know if Iowa State is a legit contender for the Big 12 championship, but they at least have a chance when they have a young guy like this at quarterback.
Well, it just depends on if a fan's going to try and fight Matt Campbell like early enough in the year.
Well, let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
Why not? You should have tried. Somebody should have tried to fight him at the spring game.
It's the Happy Gilmore Shooter McGavin thing when they sent old boy with the hat to mess with Happy Gilmore, and then you want to go eat at Applebee's with Shooter afterwards. They need that guy to go piss off the Iowa State head coach, and they need to do it early.
Well, Blaine, one part, and I want to get who you think if there's another guy, but I think, and David kind of hinted this a little bit, one of the parts of Nico's game that surprised me the most was typically when you have bigger, longer guys, because Nico's 6'6". Even if he's a little bit shorter than that, he's still very tall, he's very long, and he is a long strider. Sometimes it takes those guys a little bit more time to get up, to the level they need to from a speed percentage. But when I look at him, he's got really good change of direction for somebody that big and that long. You really don't see that combination a lot. Now, I'm not saying he's Matt Jones, which if you remember me Arkansas, boy's running 4.3 and was just 100% witch. He just couldn't lay off the pipe. But when you look at Nico, you don't see a lot of guys that are that size, that are that long, but can change direction as well as he does. And that's a big thing, right, when you're a big target moving around. It's not like KJ Jefferson where he's probably not going to juke you. He's probably going to try and run you over. I think Nico can stay healthier longer because he's not going to take as many hits because he is elusive.
It feels like Nico's a little bit of a faster Hendon Hooker to me. And a lot of people know, like, Hendon's, first of all,
Hendon could run better.
Hendon's a tall, long guy. And Hendon won. It's like the Jameis Winston effect. He's just hard to tackle. He kind of runs like a draft. He's hard to tackle, and he's long, but he's quick. And the thing about Nico, if you watch him, and I know he's only played in a bowl game. You can take that with.
He played sparingly a little bit.
Yeah,
in the year.
But his change of direction, but it doesn't look like he's catching up to anything. It doesn't look like the game's too fast for him. Sometimes you will find guys, and especially at the quarterback position, that you will throw in if they're comfortable with the system.
Well, you saw Jackson Arnold against Arizona in the bowl game. It looked too fast for him at that point.
If they're comfortable with the system, and I think Nico fits the system perfectly, it doesn't look like he's chasing after the game or it looks too slow to him. My guy, who a lot of people, if you remember, we were talking about before he got hurt, was kind of playing the best quarterback in the SEC and was on his conversation. That's Conor Weigman. If you walk into this year, and let's look at what's around Conor Weigman first. If you go back last year, him and Max Johnson were getting killed in the pocket. It was bad. It was bad. But in the biggest moments, with the most pressure, what did Conor Weigman do? He made the throws he needed to make. He made the plays he needed to make. And what they're bringing back with Owens in the backfield, they'll have 3 backs that can do it. Offensive line, junior and seniors, they're getting better. Receivers, old heads, junior and seniors with a great defense, especially up front. Right now with Conor Weigman, to me, if you go back and look at his stats, especially last year, it's hard for me not to think he could have a chance to be the first quarterback taken off the board.
Well, I want to say I agree with you. I like Conor Weigman a lot. I would say if Nico is a young man, Conor Weigman is probably middle-aged, right? And then you have like the AARP members, which are like Dylan Gabriel and Cam Rising and all these guys. Weigman, I believe, this is his 3rd year, somewhere around there, and he's had a decent amount of playing time. So I probably wouldn't put Weigman in the same category as young, because then I could sit there and say, well, Carson Beck has really only had 1 full year of starting experience. Now, I would put Weigman in the same category, maybe a little bit less than Nussmeier at LSU, an older guy that may not have that much playing experience. I'm talking about guys
he's a redshirt sophomore, and I mean, Rocco.
Yeah, so that's
Rocco's played more than Connor.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, he's young. Rocco's young.
Rocco's a sophomore.
Yeah, but did Rocco redshirt?
He did. Well, he wasn't the starter as a true freshman. So
he's in his. So Rocco is a true sophomore.
No, he'll be a junior.
He'll be a junior.
But his second year.
So, like, again, I think, when you look at starting experience from just playing time, yes, that's one thing. But I'm talking about, like, guys that are young, 18, 19 years old, right? So, like, Nico, Jackson Arnold, Avery Johnson, some of these other guys. I think Weigman, to me, I'd put Weigman as one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country, hands down. It's just, can he stay healthy like some of these other guys? But when you look at freshmen, Lenora Sellers, right, at South Carolina, another young guy. I just don't think they're going to be good enough up front to be able to protect him. So when I look around the country, it's funny because last year we had all these quarterbacks go in the draft, a lot of old heads that went, right, even though some of them are juniors. I feel like this year we kind of have a decent amount of old guys, a decent amount of middle-aged guys, and a decent amount of young guys, which is going to make it even more fascinating for me down the stretch.
No, I agree. I mean, we'll see. Do you think Conor Weigman's top 10 quarterback in the league?
In college football?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a legitimate chance he could be. I mean, is there 9 guys you would put in front of Conor Weigman? I mean, just off the top of your head?
Okay, let's go through it. Carson Beck.
I'd say Carson Beck. I'd say
Dylan Gabriel. Quinn Ewers.
Jalen Milroe.
Jalen Milroe.
I mean,
Shadur Sanders.
Yep, I like that.
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. I wouldn't put DJU up there.
I wouldn't put DJU in front of him.
I mean, God, Connor's right there. You're thinking around
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising. Okay, I'll give you that one. So there's 2 more spots. I think you're looking at Connor and I mean, do you say Riley Leonard? Is it probably Connor and
I would say Riley Leonard
Probably
because you've
Riley
seen more
Leonard.
from Riley Leonard.
Yeah, I
right?
think
Correct?
so too. But what I saw from Conor Weigman, especially in that Miami game, when they were just going toe-to-toe against each other, like things I saw from him, I'm like, this guy could play on Sunday.
And it's not,
But what's crazy about it when you talk about young versus old or where he's at in his career, we hadn't even seen him play a complete season.
It's true.
Like, that's wild. Like, stay healthy this entire year and really show us what you can do. And we might be talking about Weigman being the first
well,
quarterback
it's
taken in a
funny.
couple
Like
years.
Weigman, kind of like Becht, what they do isn't super sexy, like or flashy, but it works. Like it doesn't need to be. You don't look. Kyler Murray. I love watching Kyler Murray play. It's fun to watch him do what he does. I would rather have a guy that may be somewhat okay from an improvisation standpoint, but he's also just a really good method actor. You know, I feel like Conor Weigman, he throws the check down when he needs to throw the check down. He throws the ball when he needs to throw it away, or throws the ball away when he needs to throw it away. He gets them in the right play. And to me, that's what translates to the league, David. I think there's actually a lot of similarities between Carson Beck and Conor Weigman when you really look at their game. And I mean, you look at the NFL, that's really what translates, especially if you want to survive. You can't just ask Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
He tried to run his big ass around the NFL for about 6 games, and how did
And
that
I'm
work
interested
out?
to see what A&M's offense looks like under, I mean, Colin Klein, new offensive coordinator, obviously. You're going to see a lot more pre-snap stuff, which I think is going to
I think you'll get a lot more
which
motion.
will only help Weigman in the long run.
Without a doubt. Hey, what's up, YouTube? If you got a little time, subscribe. Come on, man. It's really easy, right? It's just like waking up. You just do it.